All right, welcome back to the Big Dog Podcast, where we cut through the hot air and just talk rotary screw compressors, no nonsense. I'm Jason Reed, and with me, as always, is Lisa Saunders.
Hey everyone! Today we're getting into something we hear about all the time, variable speed drives or VSDs. Whether you call them VFDs or VSDs, they're everywhere. And honestly, there's a ton of buzz for a reason. But are they really all that? When do they actually make sense?
Yeah, let's start with the basics so nobody gets lost. A variable speed drive. It's basically smart tech for your air compressor motor. Instead of running wide open all the time, a VSD dial-ups or slows down your compressor to match what the plant is asking for, second by second. It's all based on sensors and real-time data, so you avoid blasting out compressed air when you don't actually need it.
Exactly. It's like having cruise control for your compressed air. Terrible analogy, but you get the point. The big headline is energy savings. According to the Compressed Air and Gas Institute, VSDs in the right applications can chop energy use by up to 33%. That's huge in terms of plant utility bills, right?
No doubt. And it's not just about energy. With a VSD, instead of those big pressure swings you get with most fixed speed units, you keep things in a tight little band. Less wasted air, less overpressurizing, better for quality control too, especially where the process is sensitive like, say, packaging lines or food and beverage.
Oh yeah, let me jump in here, because I've actually seen this play out. I was out at a food processing plant last year. These folks were getting hammered every summer with crazy spikes in demand. Their old compressor would just slam on, then lag behind, then overpressurize, so half the time they were worried about breaking seals or throwing out product. Swapping in a VSD rotary screw, it let them handle those peaks so much smoother, and they saw actual 20% drop in utility bills that first year. The facility manager was pretty happy. Well, as happy as those food guys ever get.
Yeah, food plants are a tough crowd, but that's real. And don't forget, a VSD helps with stuff like inrush current too. That means you don't get smacked with those big utility charges when everything kicks on all at once. The payback on these things can hit faster than you'd think. Sometimes with a bit of rebate help too.
And the other thing is, the ongoing headaches, like tripped breakers or electrical wear. A soft start from the VSD spares your electrical infrastructure a lot of grief. We covered some of those electric issues when we talked about portable systems versus diesel a few episodes back. Same principles apply here.
For sure, so, in short, VSDs give you energy savings, better pressure control, and help your motors live longer. But not just anywhere, you want to match the tech to the problem. Let's get into where VSDs really earn their keep.
All right, so you're convinced VSDs can save serious cash. Where do you actually put them to work? The classic play is making the VSD your trim compressor. That means you run a fixed speed unit, totally loaded up, humming along as your base load, and the VSD fills in the gaps with whatever the plant's calling for as things ramp up or down. We see that all the time in bigger plants running more than one compressor.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I see folks try to use a VSD as the main, only machine. But really, it's the magic of two working together that gets you max efficiency. The fixed speed handles steady loads nice and tidy where it's most efficient. The VSD chases the ups and downs. The sweet spot is where your demand swings between, 20% and 80% of compressor capacity? I always mix that up, but I'm pretty sure that's the range.
No, that's exactly right. 20% to 80%. And that covers packaging lines that go on and off, those spray booths, or even plants with seasonal peaks. If you've got those second and third shifts on the weekends, the VSD just adapts. If everything runs steady, though, hold that thought, because that could spell trouble, which we'll hit in a minute.
Another big tip? VSDs are a game changer for pressure-sensitive processes. You need that pressure band tight. Paint lines, precision assembly, instrument air. VSD really shines there, way better than any fixed speed unit can.
Plus, that soft start's a lifesaver for electrical bills. If you've ever gotten those peak demand charges from the utility, you know what I mean. Utilities will hit you hard if your compressor goes full blast right out of the gate, especially in power-sensitive facilities with touchy equipment.
Right, and, this reminds me of an air audit I was called into at this packaging plant. The maintenance manager was pulling his hair out with all the cycling and wasted energy. We dug in with some temporary meters and logged the demand profile, and what we found was classic. The fixed speed compressor couldn't keep up during peaks and then idled at night, burning energy. Switching to a hybrid setup with a VSD trim smoothed the pressure, slashed their run hours, and the lifetime cost just nosedived.
Yeah, and that's the playbook for anyone listening. Let fixed speed carry baseload. Let VSD chase the fluctuations. Buffer with enough storage so your VSD isn't cycling like mad. And make sure piping and controls are up to snuff. Otherwise, you're missing out on those promised savings.
Or worse, you're creating new headaches down the line. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about when not to use a VSD, because they're not a silver bullet for every system. All right, here's where people get tripped up. Not every plant is going to see magic numbers from a VSD. If your load is flat, like the compressor's running at over 80% all day long, just stick with a good fixed speed machine. All you're really doing adding a VSD in that scenario is making things more complicated and possibly less efficient because you're adding conversion losses. Can't cheat physics, even with smart tech.
And don't forget the other extreme. If you're running the compressor lower than 20% of its rated capacity, like all the time, that's a recipe for trouble. Compressors don't get hot enough at those low loads. You'll get condensation, maybe some rust. Then you're looking at corrosion and even early failure. That's a maintenance nightmare waiting to happen.
Yeah, you got to watch for other VSD gotchas too. Power quality's a biggie. Those drives are fussy if you got dirty power. Voltage sags, harmonics, brownouts. If your plants had the lights flicker more than once, sort your power issues before you put a VSD on the line. Otherwise, you'll spend more time resetting trips than saving energy.
And the environment. The physical, not the, climate change one. I mean, heat, dust, and moisture. Drives hate those. I've seen VSD cabinets just gunked to death in a dusty shop or cooked in a hot, unventilated room. If you know you're pushing those extremes, think about liquid cooling the drive or just, moving it to a clean, climate-controlled spot. But account for cable lengths and grounding. If you do that, that's important.
Totally. And the thing a lot of folks miss, your system has to be matched as a whole. If you've ignored your storage tank or your piping is too small, even the sharpest VSD is not going to save you from short cycling, pressure drops, or downtime.
Honestly, this is where an air audit changes everything. I've seen places try to drop a VSD in and keep all their old piping and tiny receiver, and within 6 months, they're complaining about noisy cycling and random shutdowns. One case, the maintenance team just didn't account for start-stop frequency, so they were burning through components. They finally got a local expert involved, redesigned the storage and piping, and suddenly their VSD started paying off, plus way less downtime.
That's why we always say, don't go it alone. If you're not dead sure that a VSD fits your demand profile, lean on the pros. Get an air audit, talk to your distributor, whatever. And hey, if you need a partner that doesn't just sell and ghost you, Kaishan's got a whole distributor network trained up for this stuff. No red tape, real expertise.
All right, I think that's where we wrap. VSDs can be a game changer if you use them right and if you avoid the classic mistakes. If you're on the fence or dealing with weird cycling or power spikes, get a pro to check out your system. It's worth the investment. Jason, always good talking this stuff over with you.
Yeah, you too, Lisa. That's it for this one. Thanks for listening to the Big Dog Podcast. We'll be back next time, diving into even more compressed air mysteries. Take care, Lisa.
You too, Jason. Bye, everyone. Talk soon.